Thank you. Yeah, I'm disheartened really the way this has come forward and in closed session, and concur it must go to the public, but I don't see a business case here. I don't see how we can have any financial accountability and make any decision having such a thin report. I would like to know, and I believe I can ask at this point, how long has this been in the works? When was this initiated? Who initiated it? Those three questions I'd like to start with.
Commissioner, if it's appropriate, can you answer those questions, please?
Through the chair, this process began when the first CS 1842 started. So that was the request from Heather Thomas requesting a low spay neuter clinic.
And the city initiated it? The city approached the Humane Society of Durham Region?
Commissioner? Through the chair, from my recollection, yes.
And Commissioner Diskey, are you aware that the Humane Society of Durham Region has been contemplating an expansion, and we're engaging the independent project managers to build an addition on that building off Thixon Road?
Commissioner, through the chair, an expansion has been discussed during our talks.
So do you think the City of Oshawa is actually funding that expansion with this agreement?
Commissioner? Through the chair, I do not believe that's the case.
They would be going ahead with it, regardless of whether there's an agreement with the City of Oshawa?
Commissioner? Through the chair, I can't speak for the Humane Society on that.
And you had indicated, I think, that the Commissioner of Finance has looked over certain aspects of this, but have the financial statements of the Humane Society of Durham Region been made available to staff at this point?
Through the chair, no.
I think, do you not, that that's pretty imperative to make sure that we have, in fact, council is provided with the financial statements and see what type of compensation, what type of salaries?
We're verging into what we discussed in closed session, so I'm going to ask you to change your
I'm
line of
specifically
questioning.
talking about the board of directors. Do you know anything about the board of directors, the makeup of it, how many members?
Through the chair, what question am I answering?
How many members are there on the board of directors of the Humane Society of Durham Region?
Through the chair, I do not know how many board of directors there are, although we have met with some.
I think that there's many gaps. So when this goes back to staff, I sent an email asking questions. I think there's specifics that we as a council need to know to have the oversight and make sure there's a financial accountability to even contemplate anything that's being proposed here. We approved with our budget 2 new vehicles for animal services last month. Do you recall, Mr. Diskey?
Through the chair, those vehicles are not for animal services, they are for enforcement by law.
Well, I specifically remember going through animal services with you and looking at the vehicles that were going to be replaced, mentioning those. But anyhow, that's another thing. Have we got an idea? Has anybody done an audit of what the value is of our services? What it's, because somebody had mentioned here today that this is a way to save money. I don't see that. Is that something that the main thrust of this is to save money for the city? Take away that service to our citizens by saving money and giving it to a separate corporate organization? I don't know. Can I ask you at this point, sorry to interrupt myself, but the Humane Society of Durham Region, it's a non-profit organization? Is that correct?
Councillor, I would suggest if you have specific questions that you would like to ask of the representatives of HSDR, they could be asked in closed session, and you could get those kind of answers that you like. Because that those kind of answers would be germane to the HSDR part of the closed session document, but we can't answer those in open session.
Unless we, I understand they're in the room here. If we ask them if they're willing to come forward and be quite open and transparent about this whole process, is there an opportunity to ask them to come forward?
Understanding is that that opportunity could be had in closed session.
If the city wanted it in closed, but if the city didn't see it necessary to be closed session, and the representatives of the Humane Society of Durham Region didn't see it, then I'm just asking, is it possible to invite them to come to the table and give us a little bit more information that's lacking in what we're discussing here today to help move this forward?
Mr. Chair, if I could just draw the council's attention to the, if you'd indulge me, the purpose of the referral is to turn this into an open report, and then it makes it very clear then moving forward an open discussion that then can, members of the council, committee, members of the public, none of moving forward with the referral is going to preclude members of the public even from commenting on, as with any other item on our agenda. They're allowed to come and speak to that. That's
point of order. I wasn't allowed to speak on my referral.
I'm not speaking to my referral. I'm speaking on the motion that's on the floor.
That sounds like
and I'm trying to
Okay,
help
well, I
clarify.
thought I had the floor here, and what I understand happens when things are kept from the public and things are not forthright and discussed at the opportunities when they present themselves. People get alarmed, people get suspicious, and create ideas that things are happening which maybe be not happening at all. And we have a room here with several people very interested, and I understand members of the Humane Society of Durham Region are present, and I'm just seeing an opportunity here to bring them forward to shed a little bit more light on what's going on, because so much is in the dark, and really that's what we're about, right? Transparency and getting that right information out. So I don't know, is this not an opportunity to ask someone to come forward?
The opportunity to come forward depends on the nature of the questions. Overall, we've had some aspersions cast on the reputation of HSDR this morning, and HSDR, like any other organization, goes through transitions. There was a time when OAS, the very people in the room were complaining about OAS, and now they're not. So what I'm saying is, if there's something to do with that aspect of questioning, perhaps, but to do with the financial details that are contained in the closed report, at this point in time, my understanding is that would have to be discussed in closed session.
Okay, well, where I left off asking, is it a non-profit organization? Very simple question.
Can I help, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sure, Mr.
They have a charitable number, my understanding, so they're a charitable organization.
And how many do they have on their board of directors?
I don't know that question, but I would imagine all their documents, financial statements, board of directors, and everything would be a public document.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And if I can go further...
You still have the floor, Councillor
Thank you.
McConkey.
So, with this organization, even though it's a non-profit, often you will have board members that have remuneration. Can I ask that question?
I don't have that answer. I suppose we do not have the opportunity, do we, to bring forward a member of HSDR because they're not a delegation today? We'd need a motion to waive the rules to bring forward each. So moved. Okay. Yeah, but it can't be to respond to questions at the closed report. If it is, we go into closed session.
The closed session only deals with our staff, so
No,
that's
not correct. My understanding was that depending the details of this potential agreement, those details would be discussed in closed session at this time.
you either have an agreement or you don't. I still think have them come forward. I want to hear them. I don't mind. I stated my piece. It's important that they get to defend themselves against what I had to say. Maybe they can talk about their vision, but I think this is an important decision we're going to be making. And
my only consideration is what's concerned to be in the purple pages document and what we can discuss outside of it. Happy to discuss anything outside of it. I just need a little direction on what that is.
Point of order, and I think having it in public session is good. We just don't want to talk about our staffing issues.
Point of order?
Just hold on to your point of order for. Right now we have the report on the floor. If it is the committee's wish to bring forward a delegation from HSDR, we'd have to defer the motion on the floor for the time being.
Still have your current motion, but if we've got questions or they want to bring some information, I don't see how that's going to be contrary to the motion. It's actually complementary to the motion.
I'm going to allow it. So I'll have a motion on the floor now to waive the rules to bring forward representatives of HSDR to answer any pertinent questions that can be discussed in open session. All those in favor? None opposed. So if there's a member from HSDR who is willing to come forward, I believe it's Len Butici and Doug Edwards, chair. Thank you, gentlemen. The purple button on the front will activate